Hello and welcome to Sim.bc, where right now it's 11:50, which is really early in the morning, at least for me. I mean, it's a matter of perception, am I right? Most people will probably think 11:50, that's close to 12 o'clock, mate. That is close to lunchtime. Yes, again, as I said, it's all a matter of perspective. So why are we recording so early? Well, that is because as of yesterday, I realized that when I've been in school for a very long while, as I will be today as well, and I had gone for a walk, which I will substitute for going to the gym today, I was kind of drained of all of my energy, right? And I didn't really find the energy to release the video that I wanted to do. So that is why we're going in a bit earlier today, yeah? To actually see if we can convey the message that I tried to, convey. Basically. And yesterday was all about, setting the context, building the context, yeah, for what we're going to talk about today, setting the bit of a stage, yeah. But if you didn't watch that video, yeah, I'm kind of going to reiterate some of the points. And giving me notes here, this is going to be provided in a very unstructured video, or in a very unstructured format, sorry. But then we're going to go into discussion, and hopefully that's going to be a bit more structured. Just going to be my personal opinion, yet again, setting the context. So, what are we talking about? Well, building context. I have no problem with religion. Yeah, it's gonna be a good video when I have to state that in the beginning, that I have no real problem with religion. What people believe in, what you want to believe in, that's all up to you, mate. I mean, I couldn't really care less. If you have a certain religion that you're type of, or that you're a part of, and you think that this is the best thing ever, I mean, 2 times fresh, mate, for you. That's probably really good. I'm probably envious more than anything that you can just give yourself up and believe in something so completely that you believe in faith, right? Which is nothing wrong, yet again. It's a really intriguing idea to me, and I just don't. But I would like to, right? So I'm kind of envious on it. But religion is a really good thing, unless it gets this, this legitimized power behind it. Because the reason for that is, there are a few things that I really hate in this world, right? I think that hate and love are two concepts that are really strong. Like, I love looking up at the stars at night, for instance. And, my family and stuff, but that's obvious. But otherwise, it's few things that I really love. And there are a few things that I really hate, but principles and pride are two of those things that I do really hate, at least when they're stemmed from, things that can't be motivated. Unlogical reasoning, for instance. If you have a principle that just build on, well, it's just gonna be like this. Why? Well, because it's gonna be like this. Well, that's a really bad principle, because you can't argue with that kind of behavior, which means that even if it's a good principle, it doesn't really stem from anything, which means that even if I come up with a really well constructed and good argument against it, you probably ain't even gonna listen. Which means, as we were talking about yesterday, I can't change your perception of anything. I can't change the perspective on how you view something. Which is really bad, given what we're going to get into. No problem with religion. Religion has power. Yes. I'm very against absolute views. Closed perspectives as well. Because that is really bad. So yeah, I'm very against absolutist views, which is kind of my idea of when you're saying that I have a principle that's stood all the way over here. Right? I have my principles, and they're on the furthest part of the spectrum. Yet again, as I said yesterday, it doesn't really matter if it's religion. It can be politics as well. If you have an idea, yeah, that is all the way over there, it's on the furthest way of the spectrum. If you have a spectrum from good to bad, from 0 to 1, whatever you say it is, and you say, I'm a 1, or I'm a 0, and it's not dependent on anything, yeah? It's not motivated by anything. You say, that is where I stand. Why do you stand like you do? Well, because I just do, Yet again, coming back to this idea of principle, which is, yet again, really bad in my opinion. Controversial perspective, I know. Blah, 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 Western society. I was going to talk about the specific religion, but I realized that is probably not a good idea, because it will sound like I'm actually singling in on a specific religion in this discussion that we're going to have, when that is not, the point that I'm trying to make right here. See if I can go through more of my unstructured notes here. People are afraid of consultation. I'm all for that. It should not be seen as legitimized power. Well, anyway, I think I've been looking at the notes enough now. So, what are we actually talking about? That was just, for me to establish some context, so I'm not just rushing into this. Oh, another thing I can mention is that I'm a Swede, yeah? I mean, as I was saying yesterday, the Nordic countries are probably some of the place in the world where the average amount of people who don't believe in any form of religion is the highest, yeah? The highest proportion of people who don't believe in any specific religion, or at least isn't that fanatic about it. And fanatic can be, well, fanatic is probably the wrong word here, but people don't really care that much about religion. I mean, I am a quote-unquote Christian, yeah? Yes, because I was, they dipped my head in water or some shit when I was a kid. But if you came up to me and said, like Jesus, kind of a, I ain't even gonna say anything bad because that's going to offend a lot of people out there. But if you came to me and said something really bad about Christians, I would probably be like, you know what? I don't give a crap, to be honest. Yeah. So that's just setting the context. Yeah, I'm a Swede. I appeal to logic. That's just how I've been raised. Just the social circle around me tends to be the same. We're not that much into religious stuff, and the principles that stem from religion, I tend not to care about that much, yeah? But as I was saying, this is going to be kind of a rant, because it turns out that in some parts of the world, this apparently has been happening for a long time, but in the westernized world, so to say, quote-unquote westernized, because that's a matter of perspective, what is actually east, what's actually west, but there is a predetermined idea of what it is. So let's say, Great Britain, for instance. Yep, and even in the Netherlands, there are a specific religion that has gained some media time, since, I'm doing the SNR, the Saturday News Recap, and I try to look at different news from the week. And what has actually been stemming up is not only the idea of, oh, you want diversity, but you don't want diversity, you want your own traditions, but you still want to include other people, which is an interesting discussion to be had. No, people also tend to, in the spirit of that discussion, to, be welcome of other cultures and religions, want to invite religion as a part of their legal system. Now, I don't think that I need to support my idea of why this is bad any further. If you're any form of a sane person, and I know that is me stating a lot, that's basically me just saying that if you believe in this idea, you're probably quite thick. Now, this could be that I had one of these absolute perspectives about this, but I just think that it's very, very, very dangerous for any form of, even if it's a political view or political party, or if it's a religion, no matter which religion it is, to be invited into the legal system to speak their mind and make it legitimized. Because apparently, many legal systems in the westernized world, so unquote-unquote westernized world. For instance, in Sweden, it's one of the countries that has accepted, if I'm right now, double check this by the way, because I've checked it out, might just be that it was maybe a kind of a clickbaity, so to say, article. Could have been. But I was looking into this and I thought it was kind of a good source, but yet again, don't want to spread anything that ain't true. But as far as I was looking into it, it seemed like Sweden is one of those countries who is inviting different parts of religions to be consolations, they consult different religions at times depending on what kind of problem it is. So for instance, if it is people within a certain culture that has a certain type of problem and they are of a certain type of religion, the legal system can go in and ask different religious, prophets, I don't know, different religious speakers or something. I don't know the right terminology for these things. For me, it's all sounds the same. That's really arrogant to say, but, just establish context of how much I know about, different religious stuff. Not that much. And so the legal system is consulting different religions or different political parties when it comes to family matters, for instance, that are very sensitive towards these kinds of things, which I'm all for. It's good that you try to build the context in a legal court case. You try to actually extend your views and invite other people's views and just put them into the pot. When you stir that pot, the legal pot in the court case, and you want to make it so perfect or as perfect as possible, and you want to make it as proficient as possible when you're taking a final decision, because it's going to be a decision that influences somebody else's life. But then you might be wondering, why did I then take up this idea of matter of perception? Well, that is because apparently there is trying to be a push from a specific religion, but I can just imagine all different religions probably want to do this. A push towards trying to put religion into a place of power, so to say, where they are having a legitimized legal claim. So that there should be a religious court, as well as a bureaucracy court, so to say, an administrative court. Which in my mind is ludicrous, because as I stated before, the type of people who have different principles, which I do absolutely hate, distaste, I can't really talk about that strongly enough, is usually, in my experience, people who are either religious or have a very strong political view. Those are the type of people who tends to have different principles that they don't base on anything. Which means that if you come up and tell them, hey, this happened, that kind of contradicts your principles or kind of contradicts your view, but it still wasn't wrong, they're probably going to be like, yes, it was. And you're just like, wait, excuse me, I just presented a case in the court, a case for someone being innocent, and just because they went against these made up principles of yours that didn't actually break any real laws, you're still gonna punish them. And they're like, that's correct. Okay. Why is that again? Well, just because it is like that. And you're just like, oh my days. I mean, imagine being a lawyer trying to find loopholes in, let's just say, the Bible, right? You're trying to find loopholes in the Bible, and the priest then, who's probably going to be the prosecutor, is standing there and being like, well, this is God's will. And you're just like, ain't much I can do for you, buddy. I mean, according to this guy, who is the guy who's taking the legitimized decision, it's God's will that you did something wrong. But I didn't do anything wrong. No, but nobody really cares about that anymore. You see what I'm trying to get at here? You can't put any form of political party or any form of religious organ or whatever, any form of religious belief into legitimized power. Why? Because they probably ain't gonna take the best decisions. I'm just gonna put it out there. I mean, there is no certain way of avoiding corruption and stuff like that in the current legal system that we do have in Sweden and that other countries do have in their nations. There ain't no way we can, avoid corruption absolutely. Even though we can really try, we can do our best. But we probably can't achieve a 100% corrupt-free government. That said, putting religion into power, into this same sort of legitimized power, first of all, ain't moving away from the idea of corruption. There could be equally as much corruption in the religious new way of thinking, right? But wait, we have a book that tells us what to do. Yes, so do we. The legal, all the legal terms, all the laws. We have that too. Do you know what the difference is between these laws and the religious laws? The laws here of society, so to say, can be updated. Yep, they can be updated with society and changed. Do you know what the difference is between that and the religious laws? They ain't getting updated. They haven't been updated the last 2,000 years, probably. And what is the problem with that? Well, society has developed over the last 2,000 years with our laws. So why should we not introduce religious laws as legitimized laws in today's society? Well, probably because the views that they will bring is 2,000 years old. Is that a problem? Yes, that's a problem. And if you can't understand that, I don't know how to convince you. Because you probably have one of those mindsets that's going to be on one side of the spectrum. With no reason as to why. One can argue that I do too. And one can argue that, since I'm feeling so strongly about this. And one can also argue that the laws that we have in all countries are probably in some form or fashion based on religion, Because all of societies, when they were growing, 2,000, 1,000 years back, what have it? There probably was some form of religious supporting pillar to society, or at least that's how I see it, right? That was, affected society and the way we were thinking in society. And when we were making laws, it was probably based on the values of these different religious laws. But as society developed, the laws developed, the social laws, but not the religious laws. They kind of stay the same. At least, yet again, this is my perception of it. Might be that I'm completely wrong. And you have to keep that in mind. I can be completely wrong. And I probably am at some form. Because I'm seeing this as a really obvious thing that we cannot introduce religion as a legitimized power. Same with, absolute politics. Politics and the legal system shouldn't be intertwined. Why? Because then you probably find yourself in the situation where different people, when people of a different mindset from the government is getting punished unproportionally based on their political view. If it's the same or if it's not the same, if it's if it's not in alignment with the government, which is ludicrous. That's how you create a very unsafe state. Am I right? Again, same goes for religion. Imagine that the government has one way of seeing the laws and one way of viewing how we should run the country. The people that hopefully the people in the country has voted for. We voted in democracy, we voted for some people to come into power, and these people should take the decisions. Imagine that we have a legal system that's based on religion or based on another political party that is taking decisions, but they are not in alignment with what the government wants, which is basically what the people wants. The people is represented by the government, hopefully in the best case scenario, which I do believe that we have in Sweden, to at least to some degree. Just imagine that we have a legal system that doesn't care about that and starts punishing people that is not in alignment with their points of view, which means that the legal system is going to be looked at very discouragedly. But anyway, the basic point that I'm trying to make is that I probably ain't holding all of the answers because I'm seeing this as such a easy problem to fix. Don't implement it. However, there are many people out there who apparently wants to implement this, which to me is ludicrous. Yeah? That might be because I'm not holding all of the facts. That might be because I ain't understanding the other point of view. That might be because I haven't really understood the argument for why they should be implemented. All very possible. Have I tried to check all of these things? Yes, I've tried to check all of these things. Not that the information isn't there, just that probably I just haven't found the right one if I do not believe in it. Because there are so many people, apparently, right, that believe that this is a good thing. And I just cannot understand what they mean by this. I would love to see your feedback down in the comment section below about if you want to have religious or very advertly, very fanatically political parties influencing the legal system, or any political party for that matter, right? It's not good anyway. Or would you like to have a separate legal system and a separate, government, and then just religion being out there? Because it's a supporting system for society. If you choose to believe in religion, it's all fine. That's all good. But there's a difference saying do you believe in God? And you should follow these laws because you believe in the God or the many gods or whatever your religion states. Or should you believe in the social laws because you shouldn't kill anyone because we'll throw you into prison because of it? You see that there's a difference there? Do you want to be a part of society? Not being a bad person because that's obviously not good. And if it turns out to be good somewhere in the future, we're probably going to change the law so that it's good. Or do you want to follow these laws from 2,000 years ago just because you believe in, a person in the sky or whatever? Now, I'm really biased towards this opinion, if you couldn't tell. I'm really trying not to be, trying to invite new perspectives. But it's really hard for me to invite new perspectives in this matter because it's something that I think is really obvious yet again. Don't think I've mentioned that yet, yeah? But anyway, that was a bit of my rant. Probably need to have, I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours on end, and I have done growing up, which haven't always favored me. But yeah, have a nice one, mates. I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully with a bit more of a cheerier note. See you, mates.